So last time before I went to Hong Kong, and I stopped at emptiness is none other than form. We've been talking on emptiness for a very long time. In emptiness, the Sanskrit word is sunyata. And if anyone asks, what is the most important sentence in the whole sutra, then usually since 1,500 years ago, all the Chinese scholars, all the Buddhist scholars and Zen monks, they all said that this is the most important. The 5 skandhas are empty and thereby became free from all suffering. So if we can perceive that the 5 skandhas are empty, we became free from all suffering. But we have to understand that just perceiving is not enough. In understanding the Buddhist teaching, it's not enough just to understand it. When you understand it, it's not a realization. When you understand it, it's not an enlightenment, it's just an understanding. So usually, when we study the Buddhist teaching, we don't stay just at the initial point of just understanding. You have to go to practice it. Once you practice your understanding, then you get into an enlightened understanding or an enlightenment. An enlightenment is a deeper understanding, or through practice you have arrived at a certain realization. So many people know that everything is empty because we all have to die. People used to say we all have to die, and we'll have to go through a cycle, and we have the 4 seasons. Nothing is permanent, everything is impermanent, everything is conditional causation. So we understand. But when it comes to our actual daily life, we cannot bring our understanding into the practice because we're not practicing it, we're just understanding it. That's not enough. A lot of people understand, but we never practiced it. We already have explained a lot in emptiness, and we already have explained a lot in form. Form and emptiness is one and not two. They cannot be separated from each other. I will give an example. It's the bulb and the electricity. If the bulb and the electricity is separated from each other, the bulb cannot show its functionality, and the electricity has no means to express its energy. That means if we say the bulb is the bulb, the electricity is the electricity, they're two different things. But if you get into a deep understanding, they're not two different things. They're different in form. But when we see a bulb, we see the form of the power. We see the material of the power. We didn't see the essence of the power. We don't know the actual reality of the power. So if we just attach to the bulb, also that's the electricity, where the electricity comes from. So we don't understand its power. We only understand, we think that that's the bulb is the power. But actually the bulb is just the form. The bulb can change from one generation to another, from one day to another. If the bulb breaks down inside, there's no more bulb, and we think that the power is out. The power is never out. The power is always there. When this body fails us, we have to leave this body when we die. The essence of it, incarnate from one form to another. If we're not enlightened, if we still have to take this form, if our karmic energy has to drive us to take another form again, then we're reborn in another realm. You become another person. But you still have that same, we don't know what to call it. Some people call it the soul. You have to realize that it's not just the bulb, it's the power that exists. And if you know that, then you start to question, why do I have to change my form all the time? Why do I take life and birth all the time? And you have to get a deeper understanding of the power behind it, the energy behind it. So consider it as one and the same. When you consider this one and the same and not two, then you start to think about the meaning of it. You start to think about the meaning of life. You start to think about oh, I'm taking this form, and what have I been? I'm now 40 years old, 50 years old. What have I been doing? I've been in pursuit of quote unquote happiness. I want to be happy. But have I been happy? What have I gone through? Is the definition of happiness that I'm looking for meaningful? Because most people think happiness is pursuit of sensual pleasure. So if people ask, why do I have to come and be born for 100 years and I have to leave? Or what's the meaning of life? Some people say, looking for happiness. But what is your happiness? Your happiness is looking for sensual pleasure? Sensual pleasure cannot give you the happiness. Sensual pleasure maybe can give you temporarily happiness, in happiness defined in your own terms. Sensual pleasures will lead you into mental disturbance, which you may not know about. So we say, not just understanding, you have to actually get into a deeper realization and enlightenment of it. And there are many ways, of course, to get into that deeper understanding. When we say form is emptiness and emptiness is form, the Buddha is reminding us not just looking at the form, looking at what is behind the form. A lot of philosophers say, what is life? Life is in search of the meaning of it, if you go a higher level. Some people say life is in search of happiness, but there are philosophers who say life is in search of the meaning in life. When you go to that higher level, meaning in life, you start to put a lot of questions on how you live. Why do we come here? Why do we get born? And why am I going through all this? So, in search of the meaning of life. Apart from mind, there's no phenomena. In the Chinese language, we said, 心外无法. Apart from electricity, apart from the power, there are no bulbs. Bulb is to express the power. Apart from the bulbs, the mind cannot see electricity, can you? So if there's no bulb, nothing exists, no bulbs, then how do you see there's power? It's hidden. So we cannot say we deny phenomena, we deny forms. Form is no good, no. Because you need form to realize what is behind the form. So that means phenomena exist because the mind is conscious through phenomena. Because without phenomena, the mind cannot be conscious of the reality of it. So form is it, it's emptiness, and emptiness is form. That's the way we understand it. So much about the philosophy of it, and let's get back to the practicality of it. When we say we perceive that the five skandhas are empty and thereby became free from suffering, you should commit this sentence to memory. Avalokitesvara perceive that perception is not just ordinary perception. That is a true enlightenment of it. When you realize that, you may perceive that the five skandhas are empty, then gradually we'll get enlightened and become free from all suffering. And let's get back to what we've been talking about for many years and many lectures, and yet some people may still not understanding it. Who am I? Who are you? Who am I? I am nothing but my body and mind, my senses, which includes the body. You know, how can you have a body without senses? You always have body and senses. So I am my senses, and I also have environments, and I react to environments. That's the reason why I have existence. I have a body, and I have a mind, and then my body and mind react to environments, what is surrounding me, and I'm nothing but this. I'm nothing but body and mind react to environments, and I exist for 100 years in the process of this reaction. But don't you have to understand further what are these senses, What are these environments? And what actually is this reaction? Do you think you have to understand deeper into it so that you know what the Buddha is talking about, so that you know how suffering exists, how suffering arises, and why did the Buddha 2,600 years ago, he abandoned his throne to be the king, he abandoned all his luxuries and enjoyment and sensual pleasures, enjoyment, and he went into the woods to search for that meaning of life, to search for that higher meaning of life. Nowadays, what are we searching? We're searching for sensual pleasures. We want the eyes to enjoy what we are seeing, the nose to smell, tongue, everything our senses react. We want to create that mental sensual pleasure, which is of course impermanent. In the process of searching for it, a lot of mental disturbances come up, because many of these sensual pleasures is nothing but a stimulation of the hormones inside the body. And you think that is happiness. Let's get a little further. So we say we have senses, we react to environments. Of course we have eyes. The eyes see materials and created eye consciousness. The ears listen to sound, create ear consciousness. The nose smells, nose consciousness. The tongues taste, so you have the tongue consciousness. And then the body. The body is an aggregate of ear, nose, tongue, and all that. In the Buddhist teaching, the body is to describe the whole of you. And the reason why we put eye, ear, nose, and tongue as a separate item is because the Buddha wants to delineate the senses out so that you know how your body reacts to environments. That body here, other than the eyes, ear, nose, tongue, the rest of your body, your kidneys, your heart, everything inside your skin, your bone, the blood, everything inside of you. And then other than that, the mind. The mind reacts to everything, creating the mental consciousness. And these are the 6 senses. How do we relate to the 5 cantos of the sutra? The sutra explains this I, the senses, its environments, its reactions, with a little bit of activity in it, with a little bit of action in it. It tells you more about how you perceive, how you conceptualize, how you carry out into actions, and how is your consciousness created. So actually, I've been showing you this slide many, many times. My suggestion to you is you can always meditate on this. You don't have to read a lot of books to find out this meaning. Just take every word and think about it. Then you understand. Then you get deeper into who are you and who am I. Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness. It is saying the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind is conditional causation. Conditional causation. You have eyes because all these conditions fulfill for you have the eyes. Many people don't have the eyes because they don't have the conditions to have that eyes. Or the conditions, some conditions destroy the eyesight. Ears, nose, body is all the same. When you have all the conditions for the senses and the body to exist, how do you use it? How do you use your body? How do you use all your senses? What do you use it for? We use it for creating bad karma. Your eyes create bad karma. Your ears, your nose, the tongue, the body, your mind is creating a bad karma for you. We don't appreciate too much about our senses in the true sense of appreciation. I always remember the article that I've been repeating. I got some satori or slight enlightenment from Helen Keller's article on Give Me 3 Days of Eyesight. Many people went into the woods, Helen Keller said, and enjoy nature trail for an hour or two, listening to the birds and smelling the fragrance. The eyes see the birds, see the flowers, see the trees, beautiful landscape. The nose smell the fragrance of the flowers, and ears listen to the sound, to the touch and everything, walking on soft fallen flowers and soft grass and all that. So they have a lot of senses reacting to environments. And Helen Keller said, when they walk back from the woods, I'm always interested in asking them, what do you see? How do you feel? I don't have eyes. I don't have ears. I can't talk. I can only smell. I cannot see. I cannot listen. I cannot talk. So I'm deficient in many of my senses. You've been to the woods. Can you tell me what happened? And Helen Keller said the usual answer is nothing in particular. Nothing in particular? That applies to many people. They have eyes, they have ears, they have nose, they have body. What did they use those to do? You know what you use your body to. Some people use their body to steal, their tongue to lie, their mouth to eat animal flesh, their mind to create a lot of things. How have you been using your senses? Do you appreciate the reality of the senses? Do you appreciate senses and use it for enlightenment? Do you appreciate senses to use it for compassion, for helping? Or you use it for hurting? Or you use it for selfishness, for egoistic actions? That really gives us a lot of thinking, a thought to the meaning of life. Some saints been using their senses to do a lot of meaningful things, to raise the meaning of life at a higher level. Ask yourself the questions. What have I been doing in life? Have I been wandering? Have I been looking for things? Have I been looking for sensual pleasures? Have I hurt people? What have I been doing? Have I been conducting my life in the most meaningful way? Or some people don't even think about it. They're just in search of sensual pleasure, stimulation of the hormones. And they die without knowing the meaning of life. And then they roll into the next karmic cycle. But I think since all these people are here, maybe we should really ponder and think about it and pursue another lifestyle. A lifestyle that is in search of a higher meaning of life. A lifestyle that is appreciating our senses and body and making use of these senses of bodies to pursue something higher level. Let's say not the Buddha's teaching, because we've been biased into, are you talking about Buddha? Maybe in search of something that is of a higher level.